Hi everybody, it's Honest John again. Now, I am certainly no expert on Turkey. I have been there a few times, twice to perform for our troops stationed there, and once on my way to Kyrgyzstan, once again to perform for troops who were in that country. But I can tell you that Turkey looks and feels different than other Muslim nations in that area. I wasn't able to do some sightseeing and meet some of the people. People there, by the way, are very, very warm and friendly. But you can't help but notice the difference because, I mean, you do see people dressed in traditional Muslim garb, both men and women. But you also see a lot of people, like right beside a woman who's wearing a veil will be another woman who's wearing a pair of jeans and a stylish blouse, and if she does have a head covering, it's going to be a very stylish Western looking hat. And the same way with the men. And in their advertising, a lot of their advertising looks like our advertising with kind of women's sexy outfits and things like that. As a matter of fact, at Ataturk Airport, which is the main airport, it's the airport in Istanbul, there's even a Fredericks of Hollywood. And this is because Turkey has a tradition of secularism. It is a Muslim country, but it's not a theocracy. And this is because the founder of the Republic of Turkey and its first president, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, was a determined secularist. Under his leadership, thousands of new schools were built in what is now Turkey. Primary education was free and was made mandatory. He reduced taxes on the peasant class, and he gave women equal rights to men. So Turkey is a secular democracy as opposed to many of the other countries there, which are either dictatorships or theocracies. Recep Erdogan is the current democratically elected president of Turkey, but he is not a democratic ruler. He is an Islamist and an aristocrat who, since he got into power, has undermined Turkey's democratic institutions, shuttered some of the opposition newspapers and opposition TV stations, eroded the independence of the judiciary, and has been working as hard as he can to increase his own personal power. Now, in 1998, he served 10 months in prison and was banned from holding public office for inciting religious intolerance. But the ban was repealed when his party won the general election in 2002. His government, in addition to all of these steps that they have taken against democracy, has also been accused of, there have been various corruption scandals, and he has been accused of financial ties to ISIL. And he has also blocked social media on numerous occasions in the country. So even though the latest coup attempt came as a surprise, it was not entirely unexpected. People in the know, especially people in intelligence, kind of thought that there might be a coup. They just didn't know where and when it would come from. In fact, Mustafa Ataturk, who, as I mentioned before, was basically the founder of the Republic of Turkey, designated the Turkish army as the guardian of democracy. And it is in the Turkish constitution that if the civilian leadership threatens democracy in Turkey, that they have the right to intervene. But interpretation of the constitution goes for the victor. And Erdogan came out victorious, and he's not going to rule against himself. In fact, what he will do is use this coup, which he called a gift from God, to consolidate his power, weaken the military's leadership, and crush the opposition. Already there have been 6,000 arrests, and a lot more are expected. And many of those arrested will have had nothing to do with the coup. They will just be opposition figures. Now, I have to say, this coup was amateurish. It was poorly executed. The first step in a coup is isolating and taking into custody the leaders that you are plotting against. These guys had no idea where Erdogan was. He was on vacation. And I guess they hadn't found out where he was vacationing, which they should have done. The next step is blocking communications and seizing control of the TV and radio. This enables you to control what information gets out and to make sure that you're the one that is telling the story. And it is only after those things have been accomplished that you then take over the streets. And they should have anticipated opposition from the national police and sent troops to the police stations to keep them there. But they didn't have enough troops to accomplish this. Obviously, the military was maybe split on this, or else people that they thought they couldn't trust were left out. So they didn't have control of the entire military. They could not do a massive deployment of troops to control the streets and to control the national police. And so what happened was you saw these guys out on the streets with their tanks, where there would be some people in a tank, and they would be surrounded by Erdogan supporters. Because once Erdogan was able to get the story out, and because they didn't take him into custody and cut off his communication, he was able to get word to his supporters. They came out on the street, and once that happened, the people who were attempting the coup had two choices: either massacre the people or stand down. And thankfully, they did choose to stand down. And so Erdogan will not only stay in power, but he will crush all of his opposition, not just the coup plotters. He will consolidate more power to himself personally. And when all is said and done, somewhere down the road, you're going to look at Turkey, and it's going to look a whole lot more like the other states in the region. Thanks for listening.